What is going on, guys? This is Garrett, and I am doing something a little bit different today, something I've not really done before on this channel. What we're going to do is I just read a book. I know it's crazy, it's not spectacular or anything like that, but one of the things that happened was I was like, I'm trying to get back into reading. Reading's always been something I enjoyed, when I was a lot younger. So I'm trying to get back into it and kind of like do my own thing when it comes to that. But it's hard to find the time. But I decided to make time. Luckily, I have a new subscription to Audible, and I listen to this audiobook. I don't know if people are like, oh man, audiobooks are not the same as actually reading the book. I understand that. Sorry, it's just driving in the car. It's a lot easier to listen to an audiobook. Anyway, and I was like, one of the books that I tried to get into was The Stand by Stephen King. That book is really long, very daunting. I only got like 100 pages in. I was like, I got to put this down. Couldn't do it. A buddy of mine, who is a very well-read person, a Lincoln from Lincoln Show, who I collaborate with often, he is a huge Stephen King fan. He's reading all the Stephen King books right now, and he is also reading through Stephen King's Richard Bachman books, which was his pseudonym that he took on for many years. And one of the elements of reading, and one of the things that had taken place, was my friend Lincoln was like, hey, I know you said you were reading The Stand, couldn't really get into it, really long, daunting, probably not the best first book to get back into when you're getting back into reading. So he was like, hey, I've got a recommendation here. I just started this, Roadwork by Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King. And I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I had the Audible subscription. Was trying to just, side tangent here, I was trying to get just the book, buy the book and then listen to it, because I thought you could listen to books without an Audible subscription and then just buy the book you wanted, listen to it accordingly. Like, if I didn't want the subscription, I should be able to just buy the book and then just go from there. That is not what happened. So through a bunch of different shenanigans, I ended up with an Audible subscription just to be able to listen to Roadwork, and I started it. And I'm glad I'm fine with having the Audible subscription. It's like whatever. So like every month I get a new audiobook to listen to, which is cool. Very fun. Anyway, so I was like, I'm going to get into this book, read it. This is kind of like just my general thoughts on the book, Roadwork. Bear with me here. It's going to be very scattered, very all over the place. There's no script for this. So if you're not a big fan of my unscripted content, feel free to click off this video. If you are a fan of books, Stephen King, Roadwork in particular, and you want to just hear my general thoughts on it, I'll be fine with that. I am going to be getting into spoilers. This whole video is going to be spoilers, so if you've not read the book, I would highly recommend you check it out. Even if you watch this video and are like, oh, he spoiled the whole book for me, I still recommend going and reading that book. Very, very good. Decent. And I'll go ahead and get into that. So, basically, Roadwork is a book about a man named Barton George Dawes, who, from the beginning of the book, you already kind of have this sense that he is not all there mentally. And one of the things that kind of tips you off to that is that he is always talking back and forth with another person in his head. It's not explicitly said whether or not this is another personality, if this is a case of split personality disorder, dissociative disorder, or whatever disorder aligns with that. But yeah, he's already a little bit crazy for us. And Barton Dawes is going through this new big change in his life. He's already had like a few things happen to him in life that he's kind of cracking over. The next big thing that happens is kind of what sends him over the edge. And that is that there is going to be, the government has claimed eminent domain on his house and the place that he works, the factory he works at, that he manages. And they're doing that because they are trying to extend the interstate highway through his place, through that area. So the neighborhood and the factory area, the industrial area, all that's going away. All that's being demolished to extend this highway. And he doesn't want to do that. Like, that's like, he's already given up so much in life, I guess you could say, that he just doesn't want to give this up. He doesn't want to give up the home that he spent 20 years living in. He doesn't want to give up his workplace that he sacrificed so much, or so much of his life revolved around. He didn't want to give it up. And that's kind of like where the book, that's the premise of the book. I would say that is a better description of what the book is going to be about than what I heard the book was going to be about. So first and foremost, that's one of my biggest complaints, and is something I hope to convey unto you, the audience, what this book is about. Because I think that is something to criticize, not the book, but the synopsis. The synopsis for this book goes on to say that there's all this stuff going on in this guy's life. He learns that his house and his workplace are going to be fall under eminent domain. He's going to lose those things, and due to the fact that his son died, due to the fact that his wife is leaving him, it's all going to culminate in this huge standoff with the police. And like, the synopsis kind of makes you think that that's what the book is going to be about, that other stuff, but the police confrontation as well. Like, that, they make you think that that's what it's going to be about. And so I went into it with this idea that we're going to be getting a book that's very similar to like The Negotiator or John Q, where like the big hostage situation where the main character is kind of in this standoff with the police is something that the majority of the movie is going to be about. Like, for something like John Q, I don't know why those movies in particular come to mind, but in John Q, Denzel Washington's character, there's a lot of build-up to the hospital confrontation, to the hospital hostage situation. But once we get there, that's like a good half of the movie. That's like a good third to a half of that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that's just like what I think of off the top of my head. This book is not like that. This book is absolutely anything but that. The confrontation with the police, where it all climaxes at the end, does not take place until the last chapter of the book. There's the last chapter, chapter 41, I believe, 41 or 42, and then there's the epilogue. So the last chapter is the only chapter where all the stuff that we've built up to, the main character buying guns, the main character firebombing, the main character buying explosives, all that stuff, then he kind of pops off, goes off. He doesn't kill anybody, but he does present a serious threat. So that's more what I want to convey, is that the book is more about the slow descent into madness. Like, our main character, Barton Dawes, slowly becomes more and more psychotic as time goes on. Maybe that's not the right word, but he does become more crazy as time goes on. Like, his marriage does fall apart. He ultimately divorces his wife, and kind of feels nothing about it. Like, he does feel some apathy towards it, but for the most part, he doesn't feel anything about it. The only thing he feels significant about is this highway extension going through his house. Like, it's all he has left. And it ultimately is like, he commits, slew or slide, or however, I don't know what YouTube's policies are on saying that particular word, but he commits that by blowing up his house at the end. And luckily he doesn't kill anybody, but I mean, it really is just about this guy who loses his mind. He delves into psychedelic substances, he delves into random acts of violence. Like, throwing glasses across the room, smashing his TV. He firebombs a construction site where the roadworks take place. That part's not random, but that makes sense, and kind of goes here or there. He gets involved with a criminal ringleader, and he kind of gets involved with that guy. That's where he gets the explosives. That's where he gets advice on how to do things. He hooks up with this random hitchhiker woman after his wife separates with him. That's where he got the psychedelic substances, and the whole thing is just like he loses his job because he sabotaged the job. Like, he was supposed to sign a letter or some kind of real estate agreement that would have moved the business from this factory all the way to this factory, and he just didn't do that. He sabotaged it, resigned, quit his job, and then just doesn't have a job for months. That's another cool thing about this book that I noticed, is that it takes place over the course of like several months, and it goes day by day. Each chapter is a day in the life of this guy, and sometimes it skips a few days to kind of like smooth the pacing along, but it starts in 1972 on this particular day, skips to November of 1973, and then goes for pretty much all the way up to January 20th, where it all pops off and goes crazy. So yeah, like, one of the things that I really like about this book, terrible at segues, so like I said, this is going to be super random and all over the place. One of the things I really love about this book is the fact that Stephen King's writing style is just so peak. He just has such an eloquent way with words in describing things, and oftentimes when I was reading something like The Stand, it was really hard to get through certain chapters or pages because it would just be littered, in my opinion, with too many descriptions, too many descriptive words, all this, that, and a bag of chips. But with Roadwork, it just flows very eloquently, and I'm not sure if that's a byproduct of him writing in his own words as Richard Bachman. Like, there is kind of a difference in writing style there, and I really appreciate that, because there's just so many ways he could write something. Like, instead of saying, the tear gas exploded and the gas went everywhere and then the wind carried the gas away, he says something like, the tear gas exploded, gas went everywhere, and the wind waved a finger through it and dissipated the gas. And I'm just like, oh my god, like that personification of the wind, that is so beautiful. Just the way he words things is really well. It's a very well written book, and the way he writes the character of Barton Dawes, it's so vivid. You feel like you're a part of this guy. You feel like you're in his head, and I really appreciate that. It's so well put together, and I love the structure of it. Like, I do like that we get this day to day. It's something that's very unique, because oftentimes books will skip ahead certain days or skip ahead certain weeks, sometimes however long. Like, I'm reading, I know this is off topic, I'm reading Fourth Wing right now, just trying to like get through that book, and they do, sometimes it's day by day, but a lot of times it's weeks will jump ahead, just to kind of like help the pacing of the book go along. And I really do like that structure with Roadwork. It does its own thing. And what else do I like about this book? I really like the use of the metaphor. Like, there's this metaphor in the book that the criminal mastermind, the crime boss, the criminal boss that Barton Dawes gets involved with and kind of becomes friends with to a weird extent. He tells Barton that reminds him of this dog that he used to know in the neighborhood he grew up in, Mr. Piazzi's dog. It's the Mr. Piazzi's dog metaphor. Basically, there was this dog, and she was just one hell of a dog. You know, super nice, great. All the kids in the neighborhood would go up to her, pet her, she'd reciprocate, everything was fine. And one day, out of the blue, this kid went up to Mr. Piazzi's dog, and the kid got bit. And nobody pet the dog after that. Like, it's this idea that this dog was just a ticking time bomb, and then one day it snapped. And the crime boss says that's what Bart reminds him of. And if you really think about it, that's the perfect metaphor for who Bart is. Like, he's a guy who has just been going his whole life, and then eventually just snaps, and this is him snapping. It just happens a little bit slower over the course of time until it ultimately culminates in that final police confrontation where he starts blowing shit up and shooting his fucking anti-tank gun and all this crazy shit. Another thing I really liked is kind of the way we ultimately figure out what's wrong with Bart and Dawes. Like, he doesn't fully, throughout the whole book, he doesn't fully understand why he's even doing what he's doing. It's kind of like he just automatically does it, and he goes about doing the things that, you know, he thinks about. And what I mean by that, and I know that sounds stupid when I say it out loud, it doesn't make any sense. What I mean by that is, by the end of the book, he is telling this reporter that came in to talk to him during the confrontation with the police, and he says that he wishes he could go back in time 20 years and redo things, get his life back, redo things differently. Because what ultimately seems to be the case with Bart is that it's not so much the house is going to get destroyed or the place that he worked at for 20 years is going to get destroyed. It's the fact that the last 20 years of his life almost mean nothing. And them erasing his house and where he worked is symbolic of that meaning nothing. If his house meant something, it wouldn't get destroyed. If his work meant something, it wouldn't be destroyed. If he meant something, then he wouldn't be trapped as this gopher for higher ups in his business. He would actually be the owner of his business, but instead he is basically just a lapdog. His son wouldn't have died. If his son's life meant something, then his son wouldn't have died of a brain tumor. If his marriage to his wife meant something, then he wouldn't feel anything towards her other than love. But he doesn't. He feels apathetic towards her. Almost in some subconscious way, he blames her for his son's death. And he can't cope with the fact that he gave so much of his life to these things only for them all to be taken away. And it's so profound to a degree. And it's funny because Bart and Dawes specifically hoped and prayed that the reporter would absolutely get nothing profound or of value from his statement that he gave him, other than the fact that he's just shitty. He feels shitty and pissed off. Shit. So, yeah, I just find that really fascinating. I find the book really fascinating. I highly recommend it. It's not Stephen King's best work. That's for certain. But I think it's one of his most almost forgettable works, if you really think of it. Like, I talked about this book to a few people already, and some pretty well-read people, and they were like, we've never heard of this book. And it's from that weird era in Stephen King's life, I guess you could say. Richard Bachman. It was after that golden age in the 70s where he had like Carrie, Salem's Lot, and all that stuff. And it's sandwiched between books like The Stand and other famous works like Cujo and The Long Walk, stuff like that. I guess if we were to talk about other Richard Bachman books, Rage, stuff like that. Like it's compressed. It's a very compressed book in terms of its notoriety, and that was another interesting element to it, is that it's not a well-known book. So I highly recommend it. And it not being super well-known is also probably why this video might not get many views or interactions at all, but I liked it. I really liked it. So, final thoughts. The thing that comes to mind, this might be a movie at some point. I'd actually be really excited about that. Because the creative team behind the It movies from 2017 and 2019 respectively, they had announced in August 2019 that they were going to be doing a film adaptation of Roadwork. However, the adaptation is no longer listed on the movie page of King's website, and it is likely that the project has been canceled. So unfortunately, we're probably not going to be getting a movie adaptation of Roadwork. And one of the things I've always found kind of confusing when I think about this adaptation, a possible adaptation, what would that even look like? What would that even look like? This movie does not present with a typical plot structure, in my opinion. So, and I don't know how it would really play out as a movie. It's not a horror book. It's not. It's very realistic in how it plays out. It's not supernatural, and it's not super action-packed until that final chapter. I guess you could have there be midway points with the firebombing, stuff like that. It's very much a composed drama that likely would play out better as a TV show, like a small mini-series, maybe, like a limited series. Not mini-series like Salem's Lot, but like, or The Stand or anything like that, but a small limited series. I think that would work out better. Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like it would make much sense. I just don't know how you would do it. It seems like it would be very hard to adapt. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think of Roadwork in the comments below. Let me know if you guys have any interest at all in me doing other book reviews, other book thought videos. Because I am working through some other books right now, and I might do something in the future. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will definitely check you guys later. What is going on, guys? So this is Garrett, obviously. Why am I so bad at this? Alright, anyway,